There are moments in life when time itself becomes sacred. Not every day carries the same weight. Some days pass quietly, others demand attention. And then there are rare days that act like gates standing between the past and the future. August 30th and 31 are such days. Days where destiny does not wait. Days where silence, focus, and discipline decide whether blessings arrive or whether they slip away unnoticed. In Shaolin tradition, we honor the turning of seasons, the closing of cycles, the stillness between breaths. These final days of August are more than numbers on a calendar. They are thresholds, and every chosen one who fails to recognize them risks losing what heaven was preparing to place into their hands. These dates are not marked by festivals or parades, but by the quiet tests hidden within them. Distractions rise. Old emotions return. Opportunities whisper, and only the mindful will hear the call. In this video, I will guide you through the meaning of these sacred days. You will learn why inner discipline matters most when the world grows loud, why silence can guard the very seed of your destiny, and why gratitude is the key that unlocks the final doorway of this month. These are not common lessons. They are truths carried in the teachings of the wise, truths that many overlook until it is too late. Stay with me until the end, because what you hear today may be the difference between receiving a divine gift or watching it vanish like mist. Welcome, my friends, to Shaolin Soulfire. I am Shi Heng Yi. If these teachings speak to your spirit, I invite you to subscribe so that you walk with us on the path of wisdom and mastery. There is a reason the masters of old spoke less and listened more. In the space between words, truth is revealed. Silence is not emptiness, it is protection. Just as a seed must be buried in darkness before it breaks into life, so too must your destiny remain guarded in stillness until it is ready to bloom. When seasons shift, energy stirs. On the surface, nothing may appear different, yet within the unseen forces are moving. These last days of August are such a shift. They are delicate, fragile, and powerful. To speak carelessly now is to scatter what is forming. Words, once released, cannot be gathered again. They carry your energy into the world, and if sent without awareness, they weaken you. In Shaolin practice, there is a teaching: the tongue is the sword of the mind. It can cut your path open, or it can cut your path away. This is why masters choose silence at turning points. They understand that noise attracts distraction, but silence attracts clarity. I recall the story of a monk who was asked to share the secret of his strength. He smiled but spoke nothing. Later, when pressed again, he simply replied, "If I speak it, I spend it. If I hold it, I live it." His strength was not in what he revealed, but in what he preserved. So it is for the chosen one. On these sacred days, silence becomes a shield. It guards the seed God plants in your spirit from winds of doubt and the voices of others. Guard your words as you would guard treasure. For in silence, energy gathers. In silence, purpose deepens. And in silence, the blessing meant for you takes root. Distraction is the unseen thief of destiny. It does not arrive with force, but slips quietly into the mind, turning focus into fragments. In Shaolin wisdom, the greatest battles are rarely against visible enemies. They are fought against the restless pull of attention, against the countless small temptations that scatter energy and weaken resolve. As the month closes, the air carries both endings and beginnings. In these days, distractions often rise like sudden storms. A careless argument, an unexpected desire, a wave of old habits returning, each is a test, carefully placed to see if the chosen one can remain steady. The danger is not in the distraction itself, but in forgetting the path while chasing it. The monks tell a story of a student tasked to carry water up a steep mountain. Halfway, he saw a rare bird singing in the trees. Captivated, he left his burden to watch. Hours passed. When he returned, the water was gone, spilled into the ground. The task remained unfinished, not from lack of strength, but from a moment's divided mind. So too it is with us. Many do not fall because they are weak, but because they are pulled away from what matters most. Inner mastery is learning to see distraction for what it is, a shadow. It appears large, but it has no substance unless you give it your energy. Discipline is the art of returning to silence, returning to focus, returning to the task that carries you closer to your purpose. In the final days of August, distractions will appear louder than usual, as if the world conspires to shake your balance. Yet if you stay still, if you choose focus over noise, you prove yourself ready for the blessing waiting beyond the storm. There is a law older than any scripture, one that cannot be broken without consequence, the law of alignment. It teaches that what lives in the heart must walk in step with what is done by the hands. Thought, word, and action must flow together, like a river finding its course. When the inner life and the outer life drift apart, energy leaks and destiny begins to slip away. In Shaolin tradition, a student was once told to sweep the courtyard each morning. The boy obeyed with his body, but his mind wandered, filled with dreams of glory and recognition. Days passed, yet the courtyard remained dusty. The master watched silently before speaking. Your broom is moving, but your spirit is elsewhere. Until both move as one, no task will be complete. The lesson was clear. Action without presence creates emptiness. These closing days of August demand alignment. To speak gratitude while living in complaint, to pray for guidance yet ignore the whisper of conscience, to seek blessings but sow discord. These are fractures that break the flow of prosperity. The opportunities given now are delicate, like water cupped in the palms. Any gap between inner truth and outer act allows them to escape. Alignment is not perfection. It is sincerity. It is choosing each day to match intention with deed, faith with practice, devotion with discipline. When heart and hands walk together, the path opens without effort. If these sacred days are met with divided living, the gifts prepared cannot remain. But if they are met with unity, if your inner vow is reflected in your outer step, then prosperity flows naturally, unstoppable, like the current of a great river, carrying you toward your destiny. Stillness is not absence. It is a presence so complete that it reflects the world as it truly is. In the quiet, the mind becomes a mirror, showing what is hidden beneath movement and noise. The final days of August are moments when this mirror becomes essential, for the path ahead can only be seen when the mind stops racing. A story from the old monasteries tells of a monk who sat by a pool, waiting for insight. Around him leaves fell, birds called, and wind stirred the surface, yet he remained unmoving. When a student asked why he simply sat, the master replied, "The water sees the sky only when it is still. The restless surface reveals nothing." The lesson is clear. Insight requires pause, and blessings cannot be caught by haste. On August 30th and 31, life may push and pull, urging action before reflection. Temptations, noise, or urgency tempt the chosen one to rush forward. Yet every leap without stillness risks missing the message hidden within the moment. Mindfulness is not passive. It is the disciplined art of observing, listening, and allowing the divine to speak. In stillness, patterns become clear, decisions sharpen, the subtle currents of fate are revealed. The mirror of stillness also reflects the self. In the quiet, one sees fears, desires, and attachments. These reflections are not to judge but to understand. By acknowledging them without reaction, the chosen one gains mastery over inner turbulence and becomes capable of receiving what was prepared. To rush through these sacred days is to blind oneself. To sit, breathe, and observe is to awaken. The still mind mirrors the divine plan, revealing the paths and opportunities that remain invisible to those swept by the currents of distraction and haste. In silence, the blessing waits patiently, ready to be seen by eyes calm enough to notice. Every ending carries power. To leave a cycle open is to carry its weight into the next, a burden that clouds the spirit and dims the path ahead. Shaolin masters teach that before one enters a new chapter, the previous must be honored, completed, and released. This principle is not mere ritual. It is the law of energy itself. A story tells of a student who practiced sword forms daily but never polished his blade at the end of training. One day, when called to perform in the monastery, his sword broke under the lightest touch. The master explained, A blade left unfinished cannot serve its purpose. Energy trapped in neglect becomes weakness. So too it is with life. Tasks left undone, words unsaid, or grudges held tightly create a heaviness that the soul must carry. As August closes, the energy of these days is particularly sensitive. Opportunities, blessings, and insights are preparing to arrive, but they are subtle, like morning mist. The unresolved past acts as a barrier, thickening the air, scattering focus, and muting the reception of what is meant to flow. Reconciliation, completion, and release are not optional, they are preparation. Inner mastery is knowing when to act and when to let go. It is a discipline that balances effort with surrender. Closing a cycle requires reflection, honesty, and courage. It is acknowledging mistakes, forgiving others, finishing tasks, and clearing emotional residue. Each act of closure lifts weight from the spirit, opening space for the divine to move freely. On these sacred days, every small effort to resolve, complete, and release carries enormous impact. What is finished in stillness and discipline becomes a channel for blessings. What is left unattended grows heavier, blocking the flow that was waiting patiently to reach the chosen one. To close is not to end. It is to prepare for what is about to begin. There is a fire that burns not in the world, but within. It is the fire of self-mastery, forged in the quiet trials of discipline and choice. True mastery reveals itself not in comfort, but in moments of urgency, when impulses rise like sudden flames and the mind trembles between fear and desire. A story tells of a young monk learning to meditate amid chaos. When the temple bell rang unexpectedly and a storm raged outside, he felt panic and anger surge within him. Most would have fled, shouted, or given in to frustration. Instead, he focused on his breath, naming each emotion without judgment. By the time the storm passed, his mind was calm, and he understood something deeper. The fire had purified him. It did not harm, it refined. The final days of August carry this same test. Challenges appear sudden, subtle, or even invisible. A harsh word, a tempting distraction, an old fear resurfacing. Each is an ember of the inner fire. How one responds decides whether the flame becomes illumination or destruction. Anger handled with awareness strengthens clarity. Fear confronted with courage deepens resolve. Indulgence met with discipline transforms desire into energy for growth. Ancient masters teach that the inner fire must be tended like a sacred heart. Neglected, and it spreads uncontrolled, consuming opportunity and scattering focus. Tended well, and it burns steadily, clearing obstacles, purifying intentions, and lighting the path forward. On these sacred days, the fire is intense. It asks for presence, patience, and control. Every choice, every pause, every act of awareness feeds or tempers it. The one who masters it does not simply endure these days. They emerge renewed, their spirit sharper, their path illuminated. The fire, once harnessed, becomes the greatest ally in receiving what was prepared long before. Gratitude is not a fleeting feeling. It is a weight carried with reverence, a recognition that the world and its unseen forces are constantly at work. The masters of old taught that blessings arrive not simply by desire, but by acknowledgement. The heart that bows opens doors invisible to the restless mind. A story speaks of a monk who lived in the mountains, tending a small garden. One morning he discovered a rare flower blooming overnight. Instead of plucking it, he knelt in silence, offering thanks. That evening, rain fell gently on the garden, nourishing not just the soil, but every seed he had planted. The act of gratitude itself had prepared the way for abundance. The final days of August are such a moment. Gifts, insights, and opportunities hover near, subtle yet potent. To ignore them, to take life for granted, or to harbor resentment is to turn away from the very currents that carry blessings. Gratitude is the key that aligns the heart with these currents. It is not only a polite gesture, it is a force that shapes reality. Inner mastery reveals that gratitude is both discipline and awareness. It asks for attentiveness to what has already been given and humility in receiving what is yet to come. Every acknowledgement, spoken silently or expressed through action, fortifies the spirit and clears the path for what is approaching. In these sacred days, the weight of gratitude is heavier than usual. It demands presence, reflection, and sincerity. A thankful heart does not merely open doors, it draws blessings closer, makes intention visible, and allows divine timing to unfold unhindered. The chosen one who embraces this practice does more than receive. They honor the flow of life itself, creating space for gifts too great to arrive without awareness. Breath is the silent river that carries life through the body and spirit. In Shaolin practice, it is more than air. It is a current of energy, a bridge between mind and soul. Each inhalation brings clarity. Each exhalation releases what no longer serves. Mastery begins with the awareness of this rhythm, and in moments of transition, it becomes a tool of renewal. A story tells of a monk who faced a trial in the depths of winter. The cold and wind tore at his resolve, yet he focused on his breath. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. With each cycle, tension dissolved, fear softened, and the mind sharpened. By the time he reached the mountain summit, his body was steady, his heart clear, and his spirit receptive. The power of conscious breathing had transformed struggle into preparation. August 30th and 31 carry this same potential. The days are heavy with energy, with endings and beginnings intertwined. It is easy to feel pulled in every direction, weighed down by thought, fear, or expectation. Yet the breath offers a sanctuary. By observing it, slowing it, and letting it flow naturally, the chosen one resets. The mind quiets, the body steadies, and the heart aligns with what is coming. Conscious breath is also a teacher. It shows where tension lingers, where attention falters, and where release is needed. It trains patience and presence, reminding the practitioner that mastery is not force but flow. In these sacred days, each breath becomes a ritual of readiness. It clears the residue of the past, anchors the present, and opens the spirit to receive. The one who breathes with awareness steps into these moments fully, carrying a body, mind, and heart prepared to meet the gift that was waiting all along. Energy is fragile, yet powerful. It is the unseen thread that connects the heart to destiny and the spirit to opportunity. In Shaolin practice, the wise know that protection of this energy is not fear. It is preparation. Without careful guarding, the force that carries blessings can scatter, leaving the chosen one exposed to the currents that would pull them away from their path. A story tells of a young disciple who journeyed through the forest seeking a sacred grove. He walked boldly, yet allowed every distraction to touch him, voices, doubts, small desires. When he arrived, the grove seemed distant, its power dimmed. The elder who guided him explained, "You cannot reach the source if your energy is scattered. A circle surrounds those ready. Only those who guard themselves may enter." The final days of August act like such a circle. Prayer, meditation, reflection, or simply holding sacred time forms a protective boundary. It is invisible yet tangible, preventing the intrusion of negative thoughts, petty conflicts, or unnecessary engagements. Each moment spent mindfully strengthens the shield, shaping a space where blessings can arrive unimpeded. Inner mastery requires knowing where to place focus, when to withdraw, and what to allow in. The circle is not isolation, it is deliberate alignment. It is saying yes to what strengthens and no to what diminishes. Discipline in guarding energy creates freedom rather than limitation for the chosen one. During these sacred days, the blessing waiting is delicate, like a flame in the wind. The circle of protection holds it steady, allowing it to grow rather than flicker and die. Without it, even the most prepared heart risks losing what was meant to arrive. With it, the chosen one stands firm, steady, and ready to receive what has been patiently waiting for their arrival. True wisdom carries a quiet command. It asks for surrender, not out of fear, but out of understanding. The masters teach that obedience is the alignment of self with a higher order, a force that governs time, opportunity, and destiny. It is not blind submission, but conscious attunement to what is greater than the individual. A tale speaks of a monk who trained for years, mastering every form, every breath, and every thought. Yet when the elder called him to a sacred ceremony, he hesitated, thinking he was not ready. The elder said simply, "Readiness is in your obedience, not in your doubt." That day, by following the appointed path, the monk received insight far beyond skill or knowledge. He received the blessing of timing itself. The last days of August are like that sacred call. They are not mere dates on a calendar, but divine appointments. Every moment is a signal, every impulse a guide. Ignoring them is not just carelessness, it is missing the very rhythm of your season. The opportunities and guidance prepared for the chosen one are precise, like seeds planted in soil ready to receive rain. If the timing is ignored, the seed dries before it can grow. Inner mastery is the discipline to listen, to respond, and to step forward when the call arises. It is the understanding that obedience is not weakness, but power, the power to move in harmony with life rather than against it. On these sacred days, the call is quiet yet insistent. It is woven into the stillness, into the cycles of breath, into the heart that remains vigilant. Answering it requires humility, presence, and trust. To obey is to step into the flow, to meet the season prepared for you, and to claim the blessing that has been waiting patiently for your readiness. The final days of August carry a quiet urgency. They are more than dates, they are a test of focus, a doorway to what has been patiently prepared. By embracing silence, holding stillness, practicing gratitude, and walking with discipline, the chosen one aligns with the flow of blessings waiting to arrive. These are not abstract ideas, they are tools of inner mastery, guiding the spirit to readiness and clarity. Take a moment each day to pause, reflect, and honor the sacred rhythms around you. Let your words, actions, and intentions move in harmony with your highest purpose. In doing so, you open space for life's gifts to enter with ease, and for your heart to receive what has been waiting. May these lessons inspire calm, awareness, and steady growth in your daily life. Step into the closing days of August with presence and allow the blessings meant for you to unfold naturally, like water finding its path. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If these teachings resonate with your spirit, please like this video and subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire so that together we may continue walking the path of wisdom, mastery, and inner peace.